southern road, west to New Orleans, and I'm fighting off. That was just the opening to Working in Corners by Nancy Griffith, which I've just heard today for the first time. And some other Nancy Griffith songs I really love. She does some covers that I really love, but Love at the Five and Dime, that's one of my favourites. But I'd not heard this song before, Working in Corners, and it's just incredible. I just love it. You know when you hear a song for the first time and you know you're going to love it. I mean, it's beyond liking it. It's just, you know you're going to... I've played this about 20 times in a row while I was looking at other stuff online. Online. It's all gone online. Everything's online. Everything's online. That's what my friend, my dear friend says. I have a joke about it. It's all online now. It's all gone online. Everything. It's just an amazing song. Working in Corners, Nancy Griffith. God, it's blown me away. I just got this lovely bottle of wine, Italian wine that got from Tesco's. It wasn't the one I got a delivery, yesterday, and it wasn't the one I'd put on my order, but they changed it because the other one they didn't have it. This one's called, it comes out, Mille Fiori, 1,000 Flowers. It's absolutely beautiful. God, I had one glass last night, and I'm just having a very little sip now on a Sunday, the day of rest, listening to Nancy Griffith. I did dip into Twitter a bit, even though I said I wasn't going to myself, because it's just trying to have little breaks from it. Can get a bit much, really. I tried this Blue Sky thing, which is a Twitter type thing. It's a bit different, but it's all, they're all pretty much. I suppose God knows what it all means. It doesn't matter, does it? But I wasn't going to look at anything to do with the case, as it were, today. The case. What is it? The tragedy of the wounding, the obliteration, the attack on innocence, the wounding of innocence, the demolishing of innocence, the destruction of innocence. I wasn't going to look at anything about that today, but I saw a few things. And there's some amazing detail people that I've just looked at a discussion in a group I'm in by, healthcare professionals, nurses, other healthcare professionals, radiologists, going into such detail. I've got to do I think I'll do the part 8. I'll read through the part 8. I've read it a number of times myself, the Private Eye part 8. I only want to do it if there's something that might click with it, or there's something to reinforce or to bring in respect of like the idea of synthesis, to bring in what other people are doing into the arguments, or to question certain assertions being made, whether I don't think they're going far enough in certain situations or not clear enough. That might sound a bit hubristic. Who am I to say that? Well, I'm as free as anybody to make a comment about this, and as anyone else is. Anyone else in the world can make a video and talk about it. My concern, right from the very beginning, and this came kind of blindsided by all this, would have been last August, July, August. It was a slow burn at the beginning where I thought, this isn't right. And I was following this, what I now realise is an abysmal other outlet. Maybe I won't. I don't need to say. I don't need to knock other people on YouTube. But it's another channel that has a huge following, and it was just, I thought, this isn't right. What's going on here? And then over a period of a few weeks, the horror of it dawned on me. the absolute horror, and the intuitive certainty of what it was, what it is, and what it was, and what it still is now, and what it currently is, and what it will always be. Not that it won't be overturned, but it will be overturned. But it'll always be horror, what they did, what they've done. It'll always be a incredible moral crime. I just saw in a group that I'm in, a friend put up a link to a CPS lawyer talking about Lucy's character and how they really know that she's something else behind the smile. It's just a wall-to-wall sickness. There's a lot of sickness out there. There is. We know this, don't we? Don't we, dear listener? And we do know this, and it's the glibness of it. And it would have been the same. It seems like we're in a different world now than the witch trial days, but are we? Not really. Not really. They might have had different robes on there, or kind of different names for the jobs they were doing, or their positions within the court or whatever. But they would have been saying much the same sort of things. You see, behind that cunning smile is a personage in league with the devil and with Satan himself. And we have all the evidence to bear. It would all be there. It'd all be there, just in a slightly different twist on it, a different form, different register, different way of talking, you know. But it's all there. It has not changed. It has not changed. When they want to attack innocence, when they want to attack an innocent person, all the characters needed for that script, for that hideous drama, they're there. You don't have to go around casting for them or trying to find them, and it's not hard to go and get them because they come out of their own accord. They enter the stage. They enter the drama of their own accord, and you see them on Twitter, and you see them popping out like here. With their little pet theories about psychopathy, about I know it can be said, well, maybe I've got pet theories about psychopathy to do with Evans. Well, maybe so, but I'm holding to those because to me that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. And whatever labels we give these things, does it really matter? Whether we psychologize it, or we put it through a lens of the demonic or whatever, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the fruits of the actions that people do. You know, what are the fruits? You know, what are the fruits? I don't know the exact quote from the Bible, but you can tell the evil tree because of the fruits thereof. You get the evil fruits, you know it was an evil tree, and you know that the evil tree will produce evil fruits, and that's what we're dealing with here. The fruits of, I keep saying the word fruits, but the sequelae, the whatever, what comes from the interventions, what comes from the actions of individuals, and I was going to say collectives, but that seems a bit mushy, really. I don't know if it is about collectives. It is about individuals. And then the nature of the collective allows those individuals to act in that way and actually encourages it. So the nature of what they're calling the justice system encourages this sort of injustice, and is designed. It's in the design. It's built in. What's that phrase people say recently? It's not a glitch. It's a feature. It's not a fault. That's not quite right. But it's not a fault. It's a feature. These are features. The fact you've got a court of appeal that can say, oh well, you didn't call Dr. Shu Lee. You didn't call Dr. Shu Lee in last year in the 10-month trial. So now when you're asking for not even the actual appeal itself, but asking for permission to appeal. And in America, my understanding is there's an automatic right to appeal. So here, in our moribund and hideously fake and ornate system, you've got to ask for permission. So at that level, they turn it down. And they'll say the reason is, well, you should have done it before. So you can now never do it. You can never do it, even though it would lead to the truth, even though it would lead to the truth about that aspect. It's lost forever. It's lost forever to call Dr. Shu Lee or to bring his evidence to bear in relation to what the prosecution evidence purported to be, i.e. that they were using his paper and misusing it and misquoting it and abusing it. Should have done it before, should have done it in 2023. That means somebody has to be in prison for the rest of their life. I know it's not just based on this one aspect, but that's what it could end up meaning. Well, if you didn't do it last year, the penalty for that is someone's whole life. And we'll just say, well, it's a version of computer says no. Computer says no. Them saying that, oh, well, it says in our protocols, if they didn't do it before, now they're doing it. It does make perfect sense, and it's awful. We can see, unless we're lying, Court of Appeal judges, we can see that if the person who wrote that paper is saying that the prosecution, so-called experts, misused it, that's a really strong point, and that should be heard in an appeal. But the protocol says if you didn't do it at a certain point in time, you can never do it. You can never do it. Is that an act of God or something? Is that an act of nature? Is that natural law? No, it's not. It's computer says no law, isn't it? It's computer says no. That's what it is. Maybe that'll be the title for the video, Computer Says No. But so what they are is they're sort of enfeebled computer minds in a sense, but not minds with any adherence to justice, with any respect for justice, and strangers to the truth, not interested in the truth whatsoever. Doesn't matter a hill of beans to them. I don't know where this video was going to go. I'm seeing the detail. I'm seeing the wonderful detail that people are doing, and it's just astounding. And that is unfortunate. I say unfortunately because we shouldn't be here. Lucy Letby shouldn't be where she is. None of it should be here. But you've actually got to do 1,000 times the quantity of real work in terms of establishing what was happening to match the 0.00001% of crap that they produced. I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm saying is that whole prosecution case was rubbish, worthless, like Evans's evidence was called in a previous trial. And the judge, I read this just the other day actually, and I hadn't known this, that a judge had actually written to Goss, who was the trial judge in 2023 and in the retrial this year, and warned him and said, this Evans person, I've not seen the original document, but that's what was posited in this, I think, in this tweet, or asserted, was that the appeal judge wrote to Goss and said, this person's, I saw Evans give evidence, and his evidence was worthless. But obviously Goss didn't take any notice of that. And I think the instinctive feeling from a lot of people, certainly I feel it, is that I'll put it like this: that Goss was chosen as a safe pair of hands. That's all I need to say. I think I've said more in other videos. Judge Goss was chosen as a safe pair of hands because it had been decided. Something had been decided, And that's the uphill struggle now. That's the Everest that we're facing now, is that this is actually about the state. And I'll remember this phrase that somebody used, and I can't remember who used it, on Twitter late last year, maybe November time, something like that, maybe October, November. And they were talking about what was going on with the case and the way after the convictions had been given. And they used the phrase state on full power. State on full power. And that's what I read it as. And that's what the Thirlwall is. Albeit it's got a lot of leakage, because it can't control everything and everyone to the degree it would like to. It would like just a series of 100% well-behaved evidence givers, but they're not all as well-behaved as Thirlwall wants them to be, even though their barristers have constantly tried to shepherd them and get them back into line. Computer says no. But we're not computers. We're people that are outraged by this monstrous injustice. A computer isn't outraged by things. It doesn't feel anything like that. Computer says no. And we're saying yes. We're saying yes because... Anyway, maybe I can't overstretch that analogy. Well, what was I talking about before that? It's apparently a mixture of Merlot and Corvina grapes from Veneto in the northeast of Italy. I don't know anything about wine, but I love the idea of knowing something about it. Maybe one day. One of my favourite films ever, actually. If I had to choose one favourite film, it's Sideways with Paul Giamatti, and I can never remember the other guy's name, the other actor. I think he's got like a double-barreled name. And there's some really good 2 female actresses in it. I just can't remember the names off top of my head, but Paul Giamatti's amazing in it, as he is anyway. And it's about these 2 guys. I don't know if you've seen it. One of them's getting married, but before he gets married, they're going on this tour of the wine area in California, and they go up there just to have a bit of a pre-wedding bonding and just a bit of a splurge up there in this wine country in California. And it's just an amazing film. There's an amazing speech that Paul Giamatti does about, and he's speaking to Paul Hayden Church. I think that's the other actor, or something Hayden Church. That's the other male actor, but he's talking to one of the main female actors, and I can't remember her name now. And he's talking about the Pinot grape, Pinot Noir, I think, or Pinot, just a Pinot grape, and he's talking about what happens when a bottle of wine is something that's alive. I'd love to learn that. It's an amazing clip. It's on, I think somebody's clipped it, and it's on YouTube somewhere. If you look it up, Sideways, and it's a bit where there's like candlelight and whatever, and it's just Paul Giamatti and the lady with blonde hair in it. I can't remember her name. Really good actress, and she's playing Maya. Maya is the character's name, and Paul Giamatti's talking about no, I think she begins to talk about that. It's this brilliant conversation. She's saying to him, Miles, I think his name's Miles, he's a writer, and but he's having trouble getting published and all that stuff. He's a wonderful character. Sideways. I think it was a novel, or maybe it was a play originally, and then they made it into a film. But she goes, Miles, why do you like Pinot so much? And he goes on this big thing about it, and then he said, well, what got you into wine? He says to her. As I say, I got this, I think it was £7.50. It was meant to be more, but they gave it to me cheaper because it was, they have to replace it with a slightly more similar one. But anyway, that's by the by. But she starts going on it, the bottle of wine is alive, and you've got to somehow intuit the right moment to open it, because if it goes over, it's too late. And if you do it before, you haven't got that kind of there's some amazing lines Paul Giamatti says as well in it. I should read them. Let me pause it a minute and I'll see if I can find the script of it. How do I pause it? Do I do that? Oh, I think I worked out. I found a little website. Isn't it annoying when websites come up with all these little boxes that you've got to keep closing down? I suppose it's the way they pay for them or whatever. But so the film Sideways, 2004. I think I watched it about 3 or 4 times. Alexander Payne is the director who wrote it. I can't remember who wrote it. Thomas Hayden. Is it Thomas Hayden Church? Yeah, Thomas Hayden Church, Paul Giamatti, Virginia Madsen. That's the scene that he's in with Virginia Madsen, who plays Maya, and Sandra Oh. She's also in it as well. And they've got some quotes here talking about the Pinot. Was it go here? I found it a minute ago. Talking about the Pinot wine, Miles. Yeah, Paul Giamatti goes, only somebody who really takes the time to understand. I just love this dialogue. Only somebody who really takes the time to understand Pinot's potential can then coax it into its fullest expression. Then, its flavours, they're just the most haunting and brilliant and thrilling and subtle and ancient on the planet. What a brilliant line that is. Great use of adjectives. Haunting, brilliant, thrilling and subtle, ancient. That's just amazing. And then, you can find this scene on YouTube. Sideways, you can put in like Miles talking to, or maybe just watch the whole film if you haven't seen it. That would be better. And don't spoil it. That scene. Don't spoil it by just seeing that scene before the whole film, before it's built up to that. So I'm dotting around here. Obviously, it's not planned. None of it's planned. But what was planned? No, I don't know if it was planned. That's the point. I don't know if they didn't. Whoever these actual people are, Jairam, Breary, Gibbs, Dr. Z.A., all these sort of cast of characters, they're all in their homes now doing whatever they're doing, or maybe they're at work or whatever they're doing, and they've got... I think they're part of something absolutely horrific, and they've got huge accountability, and they've done something awful to someone. And they don't feel there's any way out for them. I suspect that they know that. I suspect they know it. And there's this war going on inside them, which is probably saying, well, if Lucy Letby if it's found out that this was all completely baseless, what have we done? And the world will know what we've done and what we're part of. And we never really wanted it to go this far, or it needn't have gone this far. If only she would have responded to our bullying, because this is where you've got to get back to the heart of that. If only she would have responded to us bullying her and left when we decided that we wanted her to leave. And that's the heart of it. And that's where bullying can go. And what's it, going back to that, the analogy of the witch trials, what else was that but a series of bullying of people that ends up in those days to sometimes to being hanged or pressed with great weights, as they did it, shown in the Crucible, with big stones on the chest, forms of torture, or hanging, or I think burning, even though it's thought to be the main thing. I think in the witch trials in Europe and in Britain, it led to the vast majority of punishments were hanging rather than burning. I think it varied over the territory, over the different countries in Europe, different times. But a life sentence with no possibility of parole is like an entombment. You know, it's like putting someone in a living tomb. But I do keep coming back to the Crucible, and I hadn't meant to start watching it all again. There's a really good, there's lots of different versions of it on YouTube. I'm talking about Arthur Miller's The Play, The Crucible. Obviously it's been turned into films. There was a good Daniel Day-Lewis version of it, and he plays John Proctor. And then one of his things is, well, at the end they're trying to get him essentially, you know, but they can either get him to dob other people in, and he won't do that because he's a man of honour. But they decide, well, he's got to be part of he's got to be a witch essentially, or part of that communing with the devil thing. And it's the idea, well, I'll accept the punishment, but leave me my name. He does this brilliant speech that Arthur Miller writes in the play, and it is transcribed into the film. And she said, well, look, okay, well, do what you want with me, but don't take my name. Leave me my name. That's what he keeps saying over and over in this speech. Leave me my name, or don't take my name. I'd have to look that up for the. Leave me my name. In terms of posterity, in terms of, you know, that you can murder me, you can murder my body, but don't murder my name. And that's the reason I brought that up, of course, is that's precisely what they've done. They've entombed Lucy Letby. For now, it's not going to last. It's not going to last. It's going to be overturned. But they have, at this point, murdered her name, her good name, as a person. Was a dedicated nurse, was lovely to her friends, very helpful to all her colleagues, very well thought of. All her good qualities they've overshadowed and taken her name, but not for all of us. They haven't. We're not believing that. We're not believing them, but they've done it in terms of the world audience, as it were. They've tried to destroy her name, but it's not worked in the way they wanted it to. And there's going to come a time in which, just like Lucia de Burgh in Holland, and that took, I think it was 5 years, and God bless Richard Gill, who was so involved with that, and with the Italian nurse. I can't remember her Italian nurse's first name. I think it was, her surname is Pogliari, I think that's how you pronounce it. Pogliari. Very involved with that, Richard Gill, in both those miscarriages of justice there. But with Lucia de Burgh, I think it took some 5 years from conviction for it eventually to be overturned. And we're up to just over a year now. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen on and then the name is restored, but the name has never not been. I just knew, and it's different for different people. It's a different pacing, as it were, for them. And some people said, well, I wasn't sure at first, or I even thought somebody was guilty at first, and I thought, oh, no, this isn't right. So people go at different paces, and that's absolutely fine. And some very recently will be turning about this in their minds, and there's something happens. There's a tipping point in which, hold on a minute, no, there's just too much now, and that's the point I want to make, is that when is enough going to be enough? Of course, we're talking about social media world here. We're talking, which is a big thing, which is a big deal nowadays. It does a lot. It changes a lot. It affects a lot. It reaches. It's immediate. But as I read in an article the other day that I think it was that Private Eye article, that is that the CCRC is aware of what Thirlwall dismissively and arrogantly calls noise, what she utterly arrogantly and dismissively terms noise, and noise is the last thing it is. It's not noise. It's not a mob. This isn't a mob. This isn't a group of, as Liz Hull of the Daily Mail says, what did she say? Ghouls and misfits. That's what they want you to believe. Because they're invested. And it would actually hurt them. It would hurt Liz Hull professionally when the truth is known to the world. And that's why they've got an investment. And they've made a deal with the devil in that sense, because they actually want the injustice to perpetuate. And I might be wrong, but I think this is quite possible actually, that even the people like Liz Hull and other people like that, at the very least, they've got nagging doubts themselves about what they've hitched their wagon to, as it were, what story they've hitched their wagon to. You know, these are people who've won awards. This is the bizarre thing that's happening, creepy, bizarre thing that's happening. You've got Liz Hull and the other one, I can't remember her name, but there was a duo, kind of gruesome twosome, the Daily Mail podcast, gruesome twosome thing. They won an award. You've got Myers, and I think even the prosecution barrister winning an award. I think Myers won an award for a very poor defence. And I poor, it could go, you could say a lot more than that, but I'll just say that for now. And then you've got Hughes, as I said, you know, we know Detective Hughes, you know. All right, Mark, all right. Hughes winning an award for the best senior investigating officer in the world that year, that week. Is it? We won it for the week, did he? So you've got all these awards going. You can see the investment in it. Anyway, that's all trash, as we know. That's all meaningless, empty baubles, which are going to look very embarrassing. Just imagine, if you will. Imagine, what's that? I was at the Outer Limits or something. It goes, oh, I've got to sneeze now. It's all real time, this. All real time. There's no editing. Imagine, if you will. Was it that guy that was in the suit, you know, Outer Limits or something? Imagine, if you will, getting the senior investigating officers from whatever the stupid organisation within the police force, constables, chief constable group of them gave it, he won the award. Just imagine having that on your mantelpiece or on the television. It's on the television, you dust it every now and again, and then what a growing number of people know is obvious is that the miscarriage of justice is going to be completely overturned, and that the innocent person is freed, and that the whole investigation was a hideous miscarriage, and that you caused that. And then you look over at the television at your award for doing it. And that day is coming. All their awards are either going to end up in the bin or in some box in the attic or melted down for glue or whatever. All their awards. Are going to be meaningless. Well, they are already. But yeah, I'll leave it there. God bless you all. Truth will prevail. Justice will prevail. Thank you, and good night.